You're listening to Until They Sleep, a podcast where two parents finally get to sit down and discuss all the different things that run through their heads every day because their four kids are finally asleep. Thanks for listening. And welcome back to Until They Sleep. I'm Chantal, and I'm joined by my husband, as always.
Hello, my beautiful people, my sleepy heads.
Yes, sleepy heads. I actually thought we weren't going to record again. I guess our day got so busy.
No, we have to do it. We have to do it because of the celebration coming up. So
the celebration coming up. That's right. And we had Halloween or Samhain coming around the corner in just a couple days. And we were going to talk a little bit about the history of this holiday. And I also want to do some ghost stories.
Ooh, so it might be a long editing experience for you.
I'll try to keep it brief. I have a lot of ghost stories.
Yeah, I think you're going to have to just pick one.
Maybe two.
Okay.
So basically, you want to just
go
straight into it? Anything you want to talk about?
So I guess the only thing I wanted to bring up was, we've been talking about it, as we mentioned in the previous episode. This is one of our favorite times of the year. We like dressing up. We like decorating the outside of our house because we said the inside of our house is always kind of decorated, kind of spooky. We're kind of
a little extra.
Yeah, we're a little nerdy. We've always admitted that. We like collectibles, something that just happened later on in life, and our kids like it. And our kids kind of, enjoy it, and they're a part of it. So, and we mentioned that we were wanted to talk about Samhain, as most people call it, Halloween. And we were going to be joined by probably both our boys, but due to scheduling conflicts with their agents, they couldn't make it today. Because they are asleep and it's a school night, so there it is. I kind of, if time permits, I would like to cover something that's going on with our eldest for the celebration day. Just kind of poking fun of Mama Bear.
Okay, great.
But I'm pretty sure a lot of moms can relate, so that's part of the thing, right? We want to talk about family stuff. So, all right, this one's all you, baby. You're in the driver's seat. Teach us what you know about Samhain. AKA Halloween or Hallows Eve.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I'm not going to speak too much on the subject. I'm just going to kind of touch major points, and because there's a lot of information, and I will post links to the different websites I researched. And if you're interested in more information, just go ahead and you can look that information up yourself.
As
or
always.
If you want more information, let me know and I can delve into it deeper another time. But the way we celebrate Halloween today is nothing like what it was originally. It was originally celebrated by the ancient Celts, and it was actually a celebration marking the end of their year. Basically, the winter was upon them, and the winter was the beginning of their new year. And that's what it was. It was just a celebration of the harvest, a celebration of the life that they had, in the past year. And they also believed that due to this transition during the end of year into the beginning of the year, that it was a time when spirits were able to be amongst the living. So what we call Halloween used to be called Samhain or All Hallows Day. Of course, once the Romans came around and brought with them Christianity, they, of course, wanted to change that, but they adopted them. They allowed the people to still have their celebrations, their Celtic rituals, and then the following day, which was supposed to be All Hallows Day, because Halloween used to be Hallows Eve, and All Hallows Day was actually November 1st, and then All Souls Day was November 2nd.
Right.
And the church changed it to where All Hallows Day was actually the day to celebrate saints that didn't have their own day any other time of the year. And then November 2nd became the day to pray for your departed loved ones' souls. So yeah, but I mean, from that to what it is now, of course, it's changed way, 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 way more. And the tradition was brought over by the Irish when they immigrated to the United States, and they brought those Celtic traditions with them. Another thing that this holiday represented was to ward off evil spirits, right? Originally, the idea is that you dress up to ward off the bad spirits, to scare them away because the veil is so thin during this time of year, right?
So far from everything that you're saying, wherever you got your research or where you studied it, it's pretty dead on. That's kind of like how I learned it. I'm kind of, it raises the questions for me because when you say the Irish brought it over, but then I'm trying to remember that the Irish have had waves of times that they've come over to the Americas. I'm just thinking like, early or late 1800s, but they were here before that. And, majority of the Irish people come from the Roman Catholic background. So it makes sense that they were incorporated once the Romans took over to do that. Because in the Mexican culture, those, All Hallows Day or Hallows Eve.
The All Souls Day.
Yeah, All Souls Day. It's pretty much
the
Day of the Dead. There's a celebration of that in Mexican culture. It's a big deal. So it's very similar. It's like identical, hand in hand on that. So when I looked it up real quick, just to be funny, it was a long time ago. When I was going through a phase of learning different religions because I didn't grow up in a religious household. I didn't really have that background, so I was trying to find something that I can identify myself with. And I ended up discovering Wicca, and Wicca was talking about all this. I guess nowadays Wicca is through Asatru. Is originally kind of like a Gaelic festival, but it marks the end of the harvest season and the beginning of winter. So it's usually celebrated October 31st at sunset all the way till November 1st, also sunset to that.
So ultimately, this tradition is worldwide. Like you can find Day of the Dead type traditions or end of harvest, beginning of winter traditions throughout the whole world, right? And throughout all these ancient cultures. And it's just a matter that the tradition that we tend to follow here in the United States came from this original Celtic tradition that was integrated into Christian.
Right. And it's funny how we always talk about things coming back and this being Celtic spiritual tradition, and it got kind of incorporated into a new religion. But now, as the years gone by, people start embracing it, that learn about it, and they're like, let's honor the original way.
So, the fact that this is one tradition that has never ended. Do you know what I mean? Like Halloween has been celebrated for centuries, or the festivities of this have been celebrated for centuries. And if anything, we're actually at a time where people aren't celebrating it, right? We see that within our own neighborhood, like people just don't celebrate it. And I think it's because so many people over the years, and not just now, have associated it with the devil, right? This is a time of evil, and this is something the church did, right? The Christian church made it something evil because, again, if you go to all the different ancient cultures throughout the world, they don't correlate evil with this time of year. Their deities of death or their deities of the underworld, that was their job. That was the deity's job, right? Because the dead have to be taken somewhere. And who's going to take them? And where are they going? Type of thing. So there's these deities that exist in every culture that had a role to play. And it just happened to be that this time of year is when most of those cultures were seeing the veil as the thinnest because of the transition from the warm weather to the cold weather, and were people going to survive the coming winter.
Okay. So you're saying that it's not celebrated as much because of religions, but yet if it's made it this long, it's been a part of the religion forever, and they try to adopt it. So I think it's more of the society. It's not religion.
It's
I'm
not
going to say society
anymore.
Because everybody's so concerned about not offending others that's why some people, and I'm just saying some people, in order not to want to offend others, are like, we're not going to celebrate it because they might be offensive, or that ceremony is, like you said, oh, it's satanic, so don't celebrate it. But it's not, right? Because, I mean, like you said, the Catholics have been celebrating all the saints that didn't have their day. They're using it. They used it like that to celebrate that.
Yeah.
So it's just funny. I mean, some people see it as a way of, I don't know, dressing up to admire people that you like, or characters that you want to be, or that you find funny, or spirits to scare off. So there's so many different stories throughout time of why people celebrate Halloween the way that they do, right?
Well, I mean, going back to colonial times, it was actually limited because of the Protestant belief systems during that time.
And then, you know, all that witch hunting.
Yes, exactly. So even though it was kind of downplayed during that time, people still told ghost stories, right? So colonial, I got this off of history.com. It says colonial Halloween festivities also featured the telling of ghost stories and mischief making of all kinds. By the middle of the 19th century, annual autumn festivities were common, but Halloween was not yet celebrated everywhere in the country. And says in the second half of the 19th century, America was flooded with new immigrants. These new immigrants, especially the millions of Irish fleeing the Irish potato famine, helped to popularize the celebration of Halloween nationally. And that's, again, what I'm saying. In this country, the way we celebrate it now just started back then.
Yeah, but that's the other thing. Our country's a melting pot, right?
Yeah.
So this is what I got, right? So out of it, I just wanted to see what I would get. I did a search, and for Samhain, it says Samhain is a Gaelic festival that marks the end of the harvest season and the beginning of the winter, which is kind of like what I said. And it's also covered the same thing. So it's celebrated from sunset on October 31st to sunset on November 1st. Samhain is a pagan religious festival that originates from the ancient Celtic spiritual tradition. It is also the Irish language name for November. During Samhain, the Celtics believed that the world of the gods was visible to humankind. 2. The barriers between the living and the dead broke down. 3. Souls, ghosts, fairies could wander the mortal plane. And 4. The veil between the living and the dead was especially thin. And then it says some ways to celebrate Samhain include making a memory table honoring loved ones who have passed away, decorating the memory table with nature objects, colored cutouts, photos, or drawings, and then 3, lighting a candle and offering gratitude and love.
Exactly what you were describing, though, describes the altars that
the Day of the
they
Dead
do for the Day of the Dead in the Hispanic community, right? I think all Latin countries, which would be primarily Catholic countries, right, do this. They celebrate the Day of the Dead. They do their altars with pictures of their loved ones and offerings to their loved ones, and they believe, like in Coco and in, what's the other movie?
Book of Life.
Book of Life, right? So they have these altars where they're honoring the dead, and this is a tradition that is ancient, and it was adopted by the church to keep the followers, right? To integrate old customs with new custom, with what they wanted it to be. In the United States, though, based on what came over with the Irish, amongst, other traditions that they already had about telling scary stories and things like this, it says in the late 1800s, people were actually encouraged to play it down a little bit, like not make it so frightening, and that they were actually told by newspapers, encouraged by the newspapers and community leaders to take anything frightening out of their celebrations, to make it more friendly for the children and less scary for the children. And it says between the 1920s and 1930s, it was a community thing. So it was expected for the community. That's what the whole trick-or-treating thing is the community participating in the celebration of this tradition by passing out candy. And the reason you offer candy is so that the kids don't play tricks and don't mess up your house, because they really did do tricks back in the day.
So that's why you say trick or treat, right?
You say trick or treat, but no one ever says, I'll take the trick. Everyone just gives you a candy. But there was a time in our history where pranks were what happened before there was candy giving. So pranks, ghost stories and pranks were all the rage. And then they were asked to tone it down. And then this whole tradition of giving candy was added, but it was made a community thing so that the whole community participated. It wasn't just a religious thing. It was just like, we're all celebrating this time of season and we're all going to participate as a community. You know, we're all honoring our dead because no matter what religion you are, you've got loved ones that have passed away.
Right.
Right. So that is something that every faith could embrace as we have this in common. And I just feel like lately the community is definitely, with everything that's been going on politically in our world, it's just fallen apart. Like the community doesn't exist anymore. Or it exists in very few places, and it's not in where we live. So we live in one of the places that the community, and we're in California, and we 100%, we know community is falling apart in the state of California. So anyways, this is the brief history of Halloween. I mean, that's really the gist of it. It's an ancient tradition. We still celebrate it to this day. I mean, for those who want to celebrate it, it's meant to be a community thing. And it's meant to honor those who have passed away. And yeah, we dress up scary to scare away the scary spirits, you know? So we want them to think that they don't need to hurt us during this time of year. And it's because the weather's getting colder. And as the winter comes, once upon a time, many people didn't make it through the winter. Even nowadays, I think the last couple of winters you see on the news, there's these parts of the world where they've been frozen. Like they find people frozen in their houses because the weather's been so cold. And that's recent. So anyways.
So talking out of that, I started, my little hamster started going off, and I wanted to look up where does Halloween come in rankings, right? For like
holidays?
Yeah, holiday wise. Because you know, I always say everybody forgets Father's Day.
Yeah.
So I went to this website. I found this statista.com, I guess. And it says the most popular national and religious events in the United States as of the second quarter of 2023. So this is a recent poll, okay? Guess what number one is? Or should I just go up to the top 10?
Mother's Day?
No.
Or Christmas?
No, that's so crazy. 1, 2, 3, 4.
What's number one?
Okay, so I'm just going to go with top 10, okay? Top 10 backwards. At number 10 is Halloween at 68%.
Okay.
At number 9, it is Labor Day at 69%. So I beat it.
Super random.
Right. By 1%.
I don't know what website you're looking at.
Martin Luther King Jr. Is on top of Labor Day,
These
but it's pretty much a tie.
Celebrated?
Yeah, and then in this year, 2023.
Okay.
So this is just giving you what you were saying about the modern times and the community and everything. So this is what's going on, okay? So pretty much 8th and 9th place was a tie because they're both at 69%.
Okay.
So you can flip it however you want. Okay. What did I say? 10, 9, 8. Okay, so 7 is Easter at 70%.
Okay.
And beating Easter by 1% is Father's Day.
Okay.
So I guess my ranting helped out enough that we have moved up from the 20s to.
Again, I don't know, but
yeah,
okay,
I want.
Go ahead.
So that was 6th place. 5th place, at 77%, we have Mother's Day. And then at 4th place, we have Veterans Day, also at 77%. So Veterans and Mother's Day got the same this year.
Okay.
Then in 3rd place is going to be Christmas at 78%.
3rd place, okay.
And 2nd place is Memorial Day, also at 78%.
Okay.
And the number one most popular religious event for the U.S. this year that people are looking forward to celebrating and everything, it is Thanksgiving.
Are they really?
And
are they looking for Thanksgiving or are they looking for Black Friday?
That's the thing. I find it amazing because I've noticed in the recent years, I won't say the last 10 years, there are so many people offended by Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
That don't want to celebrate it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just crazy. So
right.
I
and
find
Friday is now Native American Day.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the Friday after Thanksgiving is now Native American
So I
Day.
guess I'll be celebrating both days then. Hey, April Fool's Day made it.
On the list.
Yeah, way
That's
down
crazy. Well, I mean,
it beat Ramadan and Eid al-Adha. Oh, I don't know what that is. Sorry.
well, again,
So,
I mean,
yeah, I mean, I guess
those
it's,
are not community events.
Yeah, that's just
I mean, a
crazy.
lot of those
yeah.
are not community. I mean, Thanksgiving is supposed to be, family and community. I mean, it hasn't happened yet, so I don't believe it. But yeah, I agree with you. Over the last several years, we've seen within the people we know just a decline in celebrating Thanksgiving, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean,
Yeah, so
this has to be again. This is something probably they took like one of those like, oh, which ones do you plan to celebrate? And they hadn't even happened. You know what I mean?
according to the Civic Science Center, 2 in 3 Americans are planning to celebrate Halloween this year.
All right. 2 out of 3 were planning to play to celebrate. Well, I mean, we've got a block of like 20 people, and we've seen 2 houses decorated.
I know. Well, that doesn't mean they're not going to celebrate.
I guess that's true.
I mean, that one thing is to give out candy, but another thing is to act and dress up and go out there.
Well, I mean, but to me, all right, what do we do when we go drive around the neighborhood? We're looking for anybody with pumpkins, right?
Yeah.
Or something in their window that says that they're going to have
a light on for me. You turn on the porch light. That's a green. That's a green light.
But lots of people turn their lights off for the same reason.
So that it's like it's dark. Don't even bother coming over here, right?
Yeah, but we were counting. Like we took the kids to go look at how many houses had decorations or something. They're like, okay, that's the house we're going to go to. We're going to go there. We're going to go there.
I mean, crap. We're just a few days from celebrating, and we're still getting decorations out, or
true.
showing up in the mail.
And I know that sometimes people don't decorate till now. Like this is the time they're starting
Which
to
to me,
decorate.
that's crazy because they start putting Christmas crap out like in November, like, I mean, like the 1st of November, or I've heard of people, and I've seen 2 houses already that have Christmas decorations right now.
Yeah, because they don't celebrate Halloween.
No.
So they have the Christmas decorations out instead. And when our new neighbor, like the beginning of October, they already had.
Oh yeah,
I think not even before October, they already had decorations out.
No, it was 3 in October.
Was it?
Yeah.
And then we started.
We started around the same time. We put in
like
little
a week
things.
off,
Yeah.
I think. But
yeah, you're right. You're right. No, she was at the end last week of August.
Yeah. She started last week of September.
I mean, yeah. September, yeah.
So
apparently, I don't know my months now.
Yeah. So
on that note,
yeah,
we were talking about that. I was like, so I just learned a story from the kids and you that I didn't know.
Okay. Go ahead.
So, can you tell us a story?
Oh, I don't know the whole. I don't have it memorized.
Is that part of your scary story that you wanted to talk about?
It's not, but I can add it. I mean, do you want to tell it?
No, I'm going to murder it.
So my husband did not know the story of Stingy Jack. And I don't know if any of our lovely listeners are aware of the story of Stingy Jack. So I
read one the other day. I was looking it up.
I mean, there's a movie on Netflix, I think, about Stingy Jack. And that's kind of how it came up with the kids. And we've talked about Stingy Jack in years before, and the kids forgot about it until they saw this movie.
You want me to just give a quick little simple one? I just Googled it and I got something.
No, I can say it. Okay, so basically, for those of you who don't know, this is supposed to be the origin of why we use gourds for our lanterns. And the original story, Stingy Jack, in those times they used turnips because, again, this is a Irish story. It comes from
look at that. All right.
Another Irish
area, right?
Another Irish story. So, and in that region, they use turnips. And I guess their turnips are huge because I've never seen turnips that big here in America. But basically, Stingy Jack, he was just a drunkard. And he was a mischief maker. And nobody liked him. It says Satan had finally come to collect his malevolent soul, so Jack made a last request. He asked the devil to let him drink ale before he departed to hell. Finding no reason not to acquiesce to the request, Satan took Jack to the local pub and supplied him with many alcoholic beverages. It says upon quenching his thirst, Jack asked Satan to pay the tab for the ale. Much to his surprise, because he didn't carry any money, Jack convinced him to turn himself into a silver coin, to which pay the bartender, and then he could change back later and escape. But instead of doing this, Jack pocketed him with a cross in his pocket. So he had a cross in his pocket, and he put the coin in his pocket.
Okay.
And that's how he kept the devil in his pocket.
Oh, that little trickster guy.
So to let him out, he told the devil, I'll let you out if you let me live for 10 years. Okay. And so he agreed, and he left him alone for 10 years. He came back 10 years later, and Jack found himself again in the presence of the devil. And again, before agreeing to go with him, he asked for a last meal. He wanted an apple. So he said, oh, can you climb up into that tree and get me an apple? And the devil's like, oh, fine. And so he goes, he climbs the tree, he gets the apple for him. But while the devil's up in the tree, he carves a cross into the trunk, and he's stuck up there now. He can't get down. And again, he makes another deal with him to let him out. And the deal this time is that he'll never take his soul to hell. He's like, I'll let you down, but you have to promise to never take my soul to hell. And having no choice, he agrees. The devil agrees. And then it says finally, the drinking finally took a toll on Jack, and he ends up dying. But of course, because he was so awful in life, he's not allowed into heaven. And because of all the tricks he played on the devil, he's not allowed into hell.
Right.
And so he's basically cast back down to earth. And the only thing Satan does for him is that he gives him an ember to light his way. And then Jack is doomed to roam the world between the planes of good and evil, with only an ember inside a hollowed turnip to light his way. So in another story, which the kids were telling, and this is from, I believe, Grim and Mandy, Jack makes the queen mad, and the queen has his head cut off, and that's how he dies. And of course, again, he can't go into heaven and he can't go into hell. And then Satan basically is like, haha, now you're going to have to use a turnip for your head. And that's where we get the whole pumpkin, the turnip head or pumpkin king idea, is that stingy Jack is the one with the pumpkin head that scares everybody.
So real quick on the history website, just real quick, it says jack-o'-lantern's origins. Right. So in Ireland and Scotland, people began to make their own versions of jack-o'-lanterns by carving scary faces into turnips, placing them into windows or near doors to frighten away stingy Jack and other wandering evil spirits. In England, large beets are used. Immigrants from these countries brought their vegetable carvings traditions with them when they came to the United States, helping change American pumpkin carving from a general autumn pastime to one uniquely associated with Halloween. Yeah. So in the Americas,
because we have pumpkins here.
Pumpkins
don't grow
ours.
Anywhere else.
Yeah, that was ours, right?
Yeah, pumpkins don't grow anywhere else. They grow in the Americas, and so.
But it's got seeds that makes it a fruit.
A turnip?
No, I was talking about the
turnip's a root.
No, pumpkins.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I'm not tracking. Well, okay. So with that spooky story, I guess, or the little history of Stingy Jack, I wanted to talk about some of our own personal experience with the other side of the veil. But I wanted to preempt it with the whole fact that, we watch scary movies, and as a society, we love to hear scary stories, right? Mm-hmm. There's like all these podcasts that give you scary stories. I even found myself driving home yesterday listening to classic radio, and they were telling old ghost stories, and I love it. And
I think it's everybody has a scary story or a scary experience, or they heard it from an ancestor or a grandpa or an uncle or an aunt. Everybody's been visited by a dead spirit or
Well, I've heard people who say
lady in
that they don't
white.
believe and that they've never had any
Oh,
experiences.
I know someone. I know my buddy Benny. He just laughs every time he hears somebody talk about scary stories or anything like that. To him, people are just
Well,
dumb for believing that.
I looked up why, as a society, do we like to hear these scary stories or watch scary movies? And basically, the gist of everything I read is just that it's a safe adrenaline rush.
That's what I was gonna say. It does something to your body, right? It must release like some type of endorphin,
Yes.
or
So
adrenaline rush.
it's basically a safe adrenaline rush because we're not actually going through it, but our imagination is going through it.
Yeah. So real quick before we get out of the way, I looked it up. Pumpkins are a fruit.
Yeah, because they have seeds. Is
Yeah.
that what you were saying?
Yeah.
They have seeds.
Oh wow. Simply anything that starts from a flower is botanically a fruit,
Okay.
according to a doctor.
We'll have to
Joe
do botany
Masabi from
another time.
Texas A&M.
So basically, we get a safe adrenaline rush. But for those of us who have had actual ghost experiences, screw the adrenaline rush. like, sometimes you really wish you hadn't been in that situation and you hadn't seen what you saw or felt what you felt, because it sucks. It really does suck to actually be in that scary situation.
Call it coincidence or call it, I don't know, divine intervention, whatever. But we've had a couple.
We've had many. I mean, throughout my life in general, and even as a couple together.
I'm talking about us.
I mean, do you want to start with
No,
yours?
I don't talk about mine.
The point of this is that we're talking about our scary stories.
I'll share anything about childhood traumas and
But you won't
skeletons
talk
and
about
scars,
scary
but I
stories.
just won't talk about scary stories.
Fine. Okay.
No, you tell us. You tell us. I'll butt in if you bring up some of ours or whatever.
Okay. So I'm going to tell you guys one. Let's see, which one? So I got my own bedroom when I was 10 years old.
Oh, no, I'm not a part of this. I didn't know you.
I got my own bedroom when I was 10 years old. My parents built me my room. And it was the biggest room in the house, bigger than my parents' room. And I had a full-size bed or a queen-size bed, I don't remember, in there. I had rocking chairs, a new plush fuchsia-colored carpet, pink walls, bay window. I loved it. It was just my sanctuary. Well, I'd be in my bed reading. I loved to read when I was younger. And I would see a cattail go under my bed. Like, you're like out of the corner of your eye, you see something, and it would be a cattail. Well, at this time in my life, we didn't have any cats. So it was weird to see a cattail. Our cat had died several years before, but I would see a cattail, a black cattail, go under my bed. I would also sometimes see floating past my door a bird flying across the threshold of my door. And I'm like, what the heck was that? And it happened many, 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 many times. The cattail and the birds flying through the hallway. These things happened all the time. One of the things that scared me the most, though, was that once I turned off the lights and I covered my head, I could hear someone walking in my room, like the footsteps of someone on a plush carpet. And I would take my covers off, I'd sit up, I'd look around, turn on my light, and there'd be no one there. Sometimes I would think it was my mom coming to check on me because she did this often. And she was really light sleeper. She was always checking on us. And I'd see nobody. I'd lay back down, cover my head and cover my head with my blankets and try to drift off to sleep. And I would hear it again. The footsteps walking on the plush carpet, like at the base of my bed.
I don't have any sound effects.
And then I would hear my rocking chair creaking.
Dun, dun, dun.
And it was somebody rocking back and forth in my chair. And I would like peek from under my cover, and there'd be nobody there, but the rocking chair was moving. So my mom told me, to always say, in the name of Jesus Christ, I command you to go away. And I would say that and just cover my head. But this occurrence would happen regularly also. This is somebody walking in my room and sitting in the rocking chair. And one night I had a dream. And in the dream, I saw a young lady, Victorian era, in a beautiful red dress. Like she was walking through a field of trees in a forest. Not a forest, it was like young sapling trees. They weren't very big trees. And I felt like I knew her. Mm-hmm. And I felt like I knew the place. And she turned to look at me and she just smiled. And in that moment, I knew that was whatever spirit was walking in my room every day and rocking in the rocking chair. I knew in that dream and in that moment that that's who it was. And
do you feel that was probably like a previous life person?
Like for me?
Yeah.
No, she was a spirit. She must have died in the area. And I actually did research, years later about that region that we were living in, or that I grew up in. And it used to actually be a field of trees.
Okay.
Yeah. It used to be a field of trees. And so, who knows where her body was buried or who she really was. But, it was a very long time ago that she existed. And that actually reminded me of another story that happened at that house when I was growing up. This was actually before I got my own room. And I had to go to sleep. My brothers had their room set up. My room was still being worked on. And my family had some friends over. My parents had some friends over. I don't know where my brothers were, that they weren't going to bed. But I was tired and I wanted to go to bed. So I was sleeping in my brother's bed that night. And I felt something sit at the bottom of the bed.
Oh, I remember you telling me this.
And again, I uncovered my head thinking it was my brothers messing with me. Because I'm the eldest. I have 3 younger brothers. And they love to mess with me all the time. And there was nobody there. And the door was open to the room. So there was light coming in from the hallway. But there was no one there. And I could still feel the weight of something at the base of the bed. So I covered my head again. And I tried to roll over to not feel it. And then I could feel this weight moving up the side of the bed. This was actually to my right side. So from the base of the bed, it's like a twin standard bed, moving up from the bottom of the bed, like scooting on the bed, up towards my head, like coming up the bed. And I started screaming for my mom, and screaming and screaming and screaming and screaming till finally she showed up. And the weight of whatever it was made it to my arm before my mom turned on the light and it disappeared. And the whole time between yelling, I was saying, in the name of Jesus Christ, command you to go away. In the name of Jesus Christ, command you to go away. And it didn't listen. It didn't go away. So I was super, super scared. Like, I did not ever want to sleep in my brother's room again.
Ghost didn't know who Jesus Christ was.
Maybe they didn't, but I did not want to sleep in my brother's room ever again after that night, because that was the scariest, I think, one of the scary. Well, at that time in my life, it was the scariest experience I had had. So, do you want to talk about?
No.
Why not?
No, good.
You want to talk about one that happened with us?
The thing about me telling scary stories is that I kind of don't remember them all very well. I know I'm gonna miss something in there. Can we repeat it? I'm trying to think about like moments that I felt like that. Uh, if I was to tell like one scary story, uh, yeah, I'll tell one. I'll tell one. I was walking home from school, and I was by myself, and I always got picked up by my mom. Well, my mom had been in the hospital, and I walked home by myself. And that time I did get house keys. I remember, and they told me just go straight in and close the doors, lock everything, and you'll be fine. We'll be home in no time. Like when you get out, we'll try to be there on time. Well, I got out of school, walked home, did as I was told. I unlocked the door, went in there, locked it, made sure everything was fine, and I went to bed. But I was tired. I felt really sleepy. So instead of going to my bed, I went to my mom's room and I laid down in her bed. And I remember it well. She had like this. It's the '80s people, so it was like this weird kind of bumpy crochet but smooth kind of sheet cover. And I remember it was like yellow and it was like flower shapes and everything. Well, bottom line, I remember I was just looking at my mom's room. I was looking at everything, looking at her perfumes and her shoes and her dresses, and I was like, I beat my dad and my sister to it, so I'm just gonna take a nap. I lay down, and then I wake up. I feel somebody scratching my head, and I feel somebody twirling the back of my hair. So I used to kind of do like a pompadour thing, like that's the escolar haircut, but it was getting a little bit long, and my mom always liked me with long hair, and she used to twirl the back of my head, like on the backside, and I felt that, and I felt a little bit of a scratch. So I woke up, and it was my mom. My mom was there, and I was like happy, and she sat me in her lap, and she gave me a big old hug and a kiss, and we had a conversation. And she was like, just lay down a little bit more, take a few more minutes. So I was like, oh, cool, my mom's home. Awesome. And then I wake up immediately because I was like, I can go to sleep. And I open my eyes and I don't see her. So I was like, man, I guess I did doze off. And I walk out of this room, and it was a old house, this little ass house on stilts, so everything creaked. And I open the door, and I see my sister. I see a couple of aunts and cousins. Everybody's older than me, of course. And I think my grandmother was there. And I ran and I gave her a hug. And I was like, where's my mom? And everybody's like, kind of avoiding the question. And I was like, I just saw my mom. Where's my mom? So my sister, kind of upset, wanted to cry, grasped me. Said, what do you mean you just saw mom? I was like, yeah, mom was just here with me. She was holding me. She was don piojito, and she was talking to me. She told me a couple of things. And so I was like, no, mom couldn't be here. Mom's still at the hospital. And I was like, what do you mean mom's still in the hospital? Like, mom was just here. Like, I could have sworn. I was like, no, you dreamt it. I was like, oh, okay, weird. So that was that. Lo and behold, 2 days later, I was told my mom died. And I guess I like to think of it of like her spirit saying goodbye to me. But it did scare the crap out of me afterwards.
When you realized?
Yeah, it did scare the crap out of me. Because the time doesn't match from when she died. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It was, the people were already there. She was already dead. She'd been dead for almost 24 hours.
So she had already died when they were all at the house, but they didn't tell you for 2 more days.
No. Once they had all the funeral and stuff arranged and whatever.
That's when they told you.
I mean, my grandmother was here from Sinaloa, like there was no reason for her to be here.
Unless something had happened.
Something had happened. So my mom had already passed away. And
you were 7?
Yeah, just turned 7. So, for me, that was one of the ones that kind of scared me, and it makes me emotional because
that's a really sad one.
Yeah, well, you always want to say goodbye to somebody, and I still feel like you never got the chance, even though there's that story. I thought I dreamt it, but my sister,
then they told you dreamt it. So
yeah, but my sister talked about it, she's brought it up before.
Oh, she has.
So
she acknowledged it.
Yeah, she acknowledges this. Yeah. So yeah, that's about it. That's about it for me.
You have more.
I have a lot. Yeah, it's happened to me before where people come to me in my dreams, or I dream something, and then lo and behold, something happens. Mm-hmm. So I guess some people say my third eye is open.
I guess, yeah.
You
want to tell them about being a little boy on the ranch?
No, I don't want to talk about that one.
Why not?
I don't want to talk about it because I don't remember that one that well. I remember this one more, but that one in the ranch. So
I'll just touch it. What you remember.
So there's a story that's told in my family. So in Sinaloa, it's this old little ranch that my grandmother had. Well, obviously, she's passed on, and it's typical old kind of like brick and mud and mortar kind of walls, and slabs of cement and everything, and there's an outhouse, and there's a well for water, and there's pigs, there's chicken coops, it's just the normal thing. Mango trees everywhere. There's no
that's
pavement.
Not normal in the U.S.
Yeah, there's no pavement. There's no nothing. It's just a small little town. Ranch. So apparently, people like to tell scary stories all the time. So they were messing with me because I was such a big scary cat as a kid. And there's this small town, and there's a lot of family around. So sometimes you got to walk to a family member's house, and it's a good couple
blocks,
couple hikes. So they were like, "Hey, go to your ranch." Blah blah blah. I was like, "Everybody's over there. They're hanging out and they're having coffee, and they're gonna have some cake or something." And I was like, I'm 5 years old. I'm not gonna walk over there by myself. And they're like, "Yeah, no, it's fine. It's nighttime, and and all the animal noises and crickets. It's kind of scary. There's no street lights. There's nothing like that.
It's like cobblestone and dirt, right?"
Yeah. So it's like, nah, F that. I'm not going down there. That's scary, Being 5-year-old, it's like, no, there's no way 5 or 6. It's got to be 5, I remember. And I was like, they were calling me all these names or whatever. Nah, I can't make it. My grandma couldn't make it. My grandma's like, "I'm too tired. I go to bed early. I'm going to bed. If you want to go over there, go. I know you're hungry. There's nothing else to eat here, so, they're having the cake. Go have some cake and, some hot chocolate." I was like, "All right, chocolatito." And I made it out, and the gate, so the fence and the gate is pieces of wood, people, and it's just barbed wire wrapped around it, and, they make shift or whatever they can, and there's like this little door, so you take it off the hook, and by the hook, I mean the barbed wire that goes around to the next one, you pick it up, and the door kind of just floppy falls down. And I do that, and I close it. And I step out to the main little road, and I'm walking, and all of a sudden, I see the traditional Mexican thing, a lady in white, just storm by, like just walk by. I was like, what? Like somebody's playing a joke on me. But I froze, and I kept on walking. I was like, no way, somebody's playing a joke on me. I got to see this. And then I see it again, and it looks like it's literally floating. I don't see freaking feet or legs. I just see something floating. So I said, forget this. I ran. I threw myself on the ground. I didn't even care about the little roll-up door, and I rolled down the bottom of that fence. I scraped myself. Of course, I was in this ranch, so I always wear little cowboy boots and my little hats, my little straw hats. I was already a pro in this because I already evaded a couple bulls that way. That because they move them. Yeah. They move. Stock around that area. So I got chased by a bull previously. So I knew I fit on the bottom of that fence. That gap. Yeah. So I ran in there screaming, freaking out, and told my grandma, and she got really quiet. About it. And she's like, "No way." I was like, "Yeah, can you describe her?" I was like, "Yeah." She was like kind of tall, thin lady, kind of curly, wavy hair. Best way to describe it is like, think of Gina Davis on Beetlejuice, with the wedding dress. Like, now that I think about it, like kind of like that's that, what she looked like. Okay. She was like, "No way, like that's crazy." And she goes to tell me that my uncle, who lived there with her, he worked in ranching, farming. He was a farmer, so he worked picking stuff and whatever. And he sometimes comes home.
Your tío Chevo.
Right.
Yeah.
And he went to bed one time, and the same experience that you had. He was asleep, and he felt somebody lay down on his bed, and then he felt them grab his ankle and kind of like squeeze it, and he was like, "No, sister, I don't want to eat. I just feel really tired. Do you know I have to fix my water for me to take a shower? I just take one in the morning, blah blah." And then he was like, "Wait, but it's really late. My sister wouldn't be up, you know." And then he's like, "Somebody's probably trying to play a joke on me or something." And he said he felt it, and so he's like, finally, he says he looks up and he saw the lady with the white dress standing right there. So he screamed, and he had a machete, and he's trying to swing, and he got really, really sick, I guess, because of the fright. So that was the story. And so my grandma tells me the story, and she tells my uncle the following day about it, tells my mom, and everybody's like, "Oh my goodness, she showed up for him." Like,
so everyone knew about her.
That's weird. Yeah, I was like, that's weird. Lo and behold, a couple years later, obviously my mom passed away. I didn't go back after my mom passed away, but my sister went back and took my nephew with her, and she did to him too. He was going out to the outhouse, and she popped up in front of him, and he was like, "I'm seeing things. I'm half asleep."
How old was he? I don't remember.
I want to say he was about 6 or 7.
Similar.
Yeah. Yeah, he was.
Yeah, he still talks about it. Yeah.
No. So hold on. So then that was that one. My sister, of course, had another kid who was younger, and she went back another time with him, and the same thing happened to him. Alex saw her too. Same thing, kind of going to the outhouse, and then she popped up, and then the oldest one had a son, and that's my godson. To this day, he's
in his late 20s.
Yes, mid-20s, and he saw her too. He saw her too, but with him, she actually tried to touch him, or touched him, and it wasn't just once. I think it happened 2 more times on that stay. Sometimes I wonder if that's why he stutters.
Oh, that could be, maybe.
He has moments, and when he gets very emotional or stressed out or nervous, he starts stuttering. So the thing is that in my grandmother's house, or this little ranch, she has been in the premises, and she's been around it, and she's been in it, but she's only ever shown herself to men.
Boys.
Because
it's not even.
Yeah.
Your tío Chevo was the only man.
Yeah. No, I think there was another some cousin or uncle or something at one of the parties.
Okay.
When everybody was going to sleep, he's like, "Hey, the party's over," and he went over there, and then he was like, "Oh crap!" He froze, and then she disappeared. But but there's something about it. So yeah, and this ranch, everybody's males are usually afraid of it.
But she usually starts when they're young, if she's going to present herself. Interesting. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy. I can't be no ghost or no. Because it can be something there because that was family lot for forever. So I don't know if it's an ancestor or maybe an uncle.
And nobody knows who she is. Somebody,
I don't know, nearby. Killed her, buried her nearby or something. I don't know. There's so many stories that people are like, we wonder. But I believe that my godson was the last person that ever saw her. And then it went away. She went away. Nobody's
seen her. Maybe there's something about your blood.
But
something about you guys.
But the funny thing is that we never told him the story. We never told him anything. We never brought it up. My sister never brought it up. She brought up her youngest. She told us about that, and the process of her telling us the story of him we already knew it because he had told us. Alex had told us about it, and I always talked about mine, but my nephew's dad never talked about his. I knew it because he told me everything, but he never told his mom, and never told him. So when he talked about his, then he's like, "Yeah, me too."
When your godson,
yeah.
yeah.
When my godson was talking about it, he's like, "Yeah, I saw her too." And then obviously his brother was like, "Yeah, me too." And then so my godson didn't know. He's like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah," and I was like, "Yeah, me too." He's like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, and Tio Chavo too." And I was like, "Oh, as far as I know, the four of us." We hadn't talked to my other cousins, my Tia Marta's kids, but I'm pretty sure they also had an experience because they never wanted to sleep there. So I'm pretty sure maybe one of them also had an experience.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah. So that's about a couple for me. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you good. You happy?
I want to do one more. That when we were so our kids were supposed to be here for this one because they were witnesses to this.
Which one are you doing?
The toy.
Which toy?
It's the same toy.
Yeah, but which time?
We can do both. So we'll start at the beginning. We were living in this one house, and it was a 2-story house. Our boys were, like 7. I was pregnant. I was pregnant with our third.
Yeah.
With our daughter.
So yeah, 3 and 7.
Yeah. Yeah, they were like 3 and 7 years
almost
old.
4 and 7, yeah.
Yeah, 4 and 8, almost 4 and 8.
Yeah.
And we're on the second floor, and we're all going to sleep. And my husband we hear noise downstairs. Do you want to take it from there? No. It's your experience.
So I heard noise downstairs. I went to check it. I grabbed the gun and I went downstairs to check it. And nothing. Everything's good. Everything's locked. All the windows are closed. Nothing. So I was like, whatever. Go back upstairs. Lay down in bed. I think we were watching TV. It was a late night. And for some reason, the boys run in. And they're like, something's in our room. Something happened in our room. But they were scared. And so number 2, who's younger, we've noticed ever since we moved in that house, he would talk to someone. He started having an imaginary friend. Yes. And it was always in his closet, in the closet in the room. It was like a little mini walk-in closet room, right? You walk in, and it was just a weird setup. But he was always talking in there. And he told us one time, he had his friend, Candace, that's right. And he told us that there was a man that would scream at Candace and that was always mean and would get mad. And he was afraid of him. And I was like, wow, man, that's a pretty crazy imagination. Not kind of dismissing it, you know? You were like, no, this is not good. I remember you were like trying to cleanse the house and you were like doing sage and all that stuff because you believe you're like, no, something's wrong. Like, I don't. That's kind of weird that he's saying all this stuff.
Well, it's because I had felt things in that house before.
And I think we all did. So, but the fact that the kids came in running and they were pale and they were scared and you hear the kids say, someone's in my room or something's in my room, right? And all of a sudden, I just get up. I'm just wearing shorts. That's it. And this time, I just got up quickly. I didn't even think about it. I just went and I was running. I just ran. I was going towards that room. So come out of the master bedroom and there's a little hallway going. You pass like the one bedroom and then the bathroom and then it was a boys' room. And as I'm getting to the bathroom, I got this goosebumps. I literally got goosebumps. I felt the hairs in the back of my neck stand up. I felt it in my ears. I felt so freaking cold as I walked into the boys' room. And then this one freaking toy goes off. But the thing that sucked about it was kids giggling. the toy was made like this.
It was a cash register.
Yeah, and it was laughing. So I mean, I'm not kidding people. My nipples got hard. Like I was like I just got chills. Like the hairs in my arms. I can feel everything. My shoulders. The temperature dropped. Like it's just I got chills. Like it was really cold. Like I can feel the hairs in my ears. You know, like the little fuzz. You can feel it just like when you walk through those electric stuff that that static. Like when you put on a sweater after the dryer with no sheet and it's just like that. I felt that on my whole body. And I was like, what the hell? And all I said was like, whoever's in here, whatever you're doing, you're not welcome. You're scaring my children. I'm asking you to leave. No, I'm telling you, you need to leave. You are not welcome here. Mm-hmm. Stop doing this to my children. Stop doing this to my family. Leave now. I grabbed that freaking toy and I took out the freaking batteries. I walked in, back to the room, and I hugged my family and I was like, it's okay, boys. Nothing's there. We're fine. Go to sleep. One of the kids fell asleep.
They slept with us.
They slept with us. I told my wife what happened. So yeah, we weren't very happy about that, but nothing ever happened again after that.
Oh, no.
But we ended up moving.
Yeah, we moved. I mean, many other things happened in that house.
Little things, yeah.
We're going to stick with this toy.
Yes.
So we moved.
And then you can take over from here.
Okay, because this one's my experience. We moved to a townhouse. And it was a quad level, right? Yeah. It'd be a quad level townhouse.
Yeah, the house was under construction.
Yeah, because our house was was being remodeled, and the 2-story house that we were coming from was being remodeled, and we had been out for the day. Oh, I guess I should explain. The garage, when you come into this property, the garage comes into the second level.
No, first level.
No.
Oh, it comes into
the garage comes into
the there's stairs. You pull in the garage and then there's stairs and you end up in the second level.
You end up on the second level where I had my office. And then you go up another flight of stairs and that's where the living room and the kitchen were before
dining table. Yeah, it's a little small.
Like a little small hangout area. And the kids' toys, are usually in that space because that's where they have their toys. By this time, we had our 2 boys, our third. Oh, we had all 4 kids by this time. We had all our kids, and our youngest was a baby. Anyways, on one occasion, we're getting home, and I'm running in to get something, right? I think we were hanging out outside. We were doing something. I don't remember.
You were coming back from the store, and you guys were unloading the car, all the groceries.
Okay. So, but we were all there. So my husband was in the garage. Huh?
I don't think I was there that time.
Yeah, you were.
I was there?
You were there.
No, because
you weren't
you guys called me freaking out. I was at work.
I could have sworn he was there, but anyways, I walk in to grab something and the boys are walking in behind me. And the dang cash register is going off, laughing, that little kid laugh. And I say, "Oh, shut up." And it yells back, "Bitch." And my kids heard it. They were right behind me when it happened. And it kept giggling. That little kid giggle. It's like, it didn't even skip a beat. It was giggling, that little kid giggle. Then it said that to me after I told it to just stop or shut up. And then it kept giggling. And I turned and my kids were right behind me. And their eyes were so big and like, what the? And I was like, get back downstairs right now. And we all went back downstairs. Like, give me a minute. Let me figure this out. I went back upstairs. I grabbed the toy. I turned it off. Actually, I took it back downstairs and I put it in the garage. I took the batteries out and everything. I know you were there because you told me you were there because I told you were behind the kids were with you all freaked out, and I gave the damn thing to you. I said, just throw it away, break it or something. And then you said, I don't want to release whatever's in here, so I'm not going to break it.
Yeah, but no, in my mind, I think I would have broken it.
You told me you didn't want to release whatever was in it.
That makes sense. That actually does sound like me too.
Because it wasn't the first time this thing has done. And we had actually gotten this. Our eldest got this as a present at his baby shower. So we'd had this thing for years.
Yeah, it went away. It ended up in the trash.
Yeah, it did end up in the trash, but we did not break it. We just kept the batteries out of it, and it.
You know what? You're right. I was home. I was in the car getting doing.
You were
stuff.
getting the girls out of the car,
and that's right. I do remember because when you said that, I recall. I think I put it on a trash bag and a box, and I put salt in there.
Yeah, I think you did. You ended up going upstairs and getting salt. You asked the kids to bring you salt or something.
Yeah.
And then we got rid of that thing, took the batteries out. But you told me I'm not breaking it because I don't want to release whatever's in it. And it went into the trash can.
Right. Yeah.
And we had a couple of experiences in that house too. Well, I had several experiences in that house.
Yeah.
Yeah. Freaky.
Right. No, I did too. We had a couple in there.
Yeah.
We had a couple on those.
So
but so spirits.
That was a family one. Like
the boys were the boys wanted to talk about that one. That was like, oh, you can tell scary stories. You talk about the toy, the time they called you that word. Like, I want to tell it. And I was like, oh, you guys remember that, huh?
Yeah.
Like,
they were. No.
Yeah, the girls were babies.
They were babies. Yeah. But the boys, they were right behind me.
Yeah, and number three had to be two something. Like not
the
three.
Girls were like
and the baby was a baby.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it was. Those are some of our scary stories. We have so many more. I know we could go hours.
Oh no, yeah.
With all the scary stories,
I got scary stories even from my stepmom's side of the family, like that they have, but with tragic endings.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no. But yeah, so like I said, everybody has a scary story. Everybody's heard a scary.
I have a story of possession.
Possession.
I don't know that I want to say that.
What was it? Was it the green stuff? Was it the white stuff?
When our son's eyes turned black.
Oh no, I thought you meant like drugs.
No. I think one of our kids has been possessed before, and it was really scary.
Yeah, I remember you told me that story. That
happened in the 2-story house.
Yeah.
In that same room.
And that's part of the reason why we never went back to that 2-story house. Like, among other stuff.
Well, like my brother, he kept that house.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember this last one. I guess it'll be the last one. Even though I feel maybe I should tell the other one since I started it. And people might be like, well, what happened? Should I tell it? I'll just tell it. How are we on time?
We're already past the hour mark.
Well... Okay, just real quick.
Just go for it. Who cares?
Our son, this is our number 2, and this is in that same room that my husband had that encounter with the cash register toy before and the chills and all that stuff. I went to go, I go every night to go give my kids a kiss, and he was sleeping on their bunk beds, and he was on the bottom bunk, and I go to give him a kiss. And he starts laughing, but it's not his voice. And then like I got a chill right now just even talking about this. His eyes have turned black, and this like man's voice comes out of him saying, "Number 2's not here right now."
Yeah. Yeah, I remember.
And
that.
I was like, You get out of my son right now. I said, you are not welcome here. I said in the name of Jesus Christ, I command you to get out of my son. It's like, you are not welcome in this house. So you need to get out of him right now. And then he started laughing like that crazy laugh.
Maniacal laugh.
And his eyes closed. And that was it. It never happened again. It was just in that moment. And it was It was horrible. Like, I have chills right now remembering this. It was horrible. It was really, really bad. I was mad. I was mad that a spirit had tried to take over my little boy in his sleep.
Right. Yeah. No. Yeah.
In his sleep.
No, I remember we started. Well, I did. I started, and you did too. But we started doing our own all belief kind of thing to make sure that he was protected.
Yeah, because everything was surrounding him. Like, everything that was happening in that house.
Yeah, it was
affecting him somehow, and he was sensitive to it. He's the one who saw the spirits. Even our big girls, the 23-year-old and the 21-year-old. I think the 23-year-old, she mentioned a couple things. I don't know, Mama, if you're listening to this, if you want to chime in on some of this at some point or remind us of your stories. But I know the 21-year-old, I remember she didn't like her room that was at the end of the hallway, because she's like, I remember one day she came out and she's like, Mama, there's a man in the hallway.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I was like, crap.
Yeah, she saw it.
She saw whatever that man, scary spirit that our son talked about that scared the little girl spirit that was in the house. Our 21-year-old saw it.
You're talking about all this stuff, and I'm starting to have
you're remembering?
Remembering stuff that happened to me too when it came to my father's house.
Your dad's house is scary.
Oh, I want to tell a quick one.
Okay,
right?
Go ahead.
This is a simple one. It's a funny one in a way. My grandmother, from my father's side, bought this land back in 1940. Shit, what was it?
1940s.
Let's say 46, 47, whatever. And they built this little house, whatever not. And that house has turned into many years into this really big house, and it has apartments and porches and patios and 2 stories and everything. Well, my dad has a painting of my grandmother on top of the fireplace, or he had it. I haven't been there in years, obviously. We haven't spoken, or I haven't been there in forever. But I was always home alone in that house. There was a lot of things that happened, so I always laugh because there's always noise. When I went away for a few years, by running away, I mean probably when I was 14, no, somewhere around there. I bounced from house to house for a while, right? So I was gone for a few years. When I came back, my room was gone. My room had been knocked down, and it was now part of the dining room. Well, something happened with that room being knocked down because the noises in that house were more noticeable. Everything was more. So upstairs, the second floor, it's my dad's bedroom, master bedroom. The whole thing. It's a bedroom. It has a living room. It has a fireplace. It has a shower. It has humongous. It's a big freaking room.
It's like a studio.
Yeah.
Like a studio apartment.
And that's those sliding doors, and then he has his own little patio, little porch, and you can see the border and everything, and it's in TJ, so you see all downtown TJ, you see everything. Cool view. So like I said, I would be home alone a lot. My stepmom would, at the point everybody was growing up, and she would travel. My dad, we worked a lot, and he had all his side dishes that he had to go spend weekends with. I would always hear footsteps in my dad's room. Always, clearly, footsteps. Not the way my dad walked, because my dad has very heel. He smashes his heel when he walks, so I already knew his walk. But I would hear like a walk. Not my stepmom's waddle, but a walk. And I was like, someone's upstairs. I go upstairs. Nobody's there. But I'm upstairs. I hear the refrigerator open and slam. I hear like people, like someone in the kitchen. Like, shit. All right. Scary. I'm not going to lie. I didn't play this one off because I'm hearing it. So I'm like, is it my brother that came in and he's trying to scare me?
And how old are you at this point?
I'm already a teenager. I'm like, damn, all right. So I come downstairs. Nothing. Well, get the chills. Not as bad as I did on that previous story, but just a little bit of chills. And I start turning on lights. just being a puss about this. So I was like, oh man, like what the hell's going on? I was like, nope, I'm out of here. Close everything, and my room was outside of my dad's room porch by itself. It was own entrance and everything. It was out of sight, out of mind, right? It's just I will go in there to get food. Pretty much that's all I will go into that house for. So I was like, nope, forget about it. But that painting of my grandmother, it feels like she follows you no matter where you walk. It's one of those paintings, right? And it's freaky. Well, we're gonna call him a cousin for this story purposes, and about the same age, and he has some friends over, and they're partying. It's a weekend. They're having a good time. Just him and his boys watching TV or whatever, not. But they just start doing drugs. All right. So as they're doing these drugs, the friends start tripping out. I show up, not knowing that there's going to be people in the house. So I'm like, lights are on. Who's home? I don't see the vehicles outside. So I open the gate. I get in. And these guys come out running, screaming, freaking out, all like literally like in the movies. They're throwing themselves out the door. They're crawling out of the house. They're screaming, and they're like, "That effing lady, man, she's so mean. Like, oh my goodness, she's ruining my buzz. And where is she? I never seen her before. And blah blah." And I'm like, "The hell are you guys talking about?" I was like, "The lady by the fireplace." I was like, I saw her in the kitchen slamming the doors.
Oh,
I thought I saw a lady.
Their third eyes were open because of the drugs.
Yeah, and they're like, but the lady, the picture, like she's following us, she's judging us, like she's giving us the dirtiest look. And I walk in and I'm looking at my grandma's picture, and I'm like, it's just kind of like a Mona Lisa kind of stare, It's like,
yeah, because she's not quite smiling in it.
No, it's like a little,
it's like you said, Mona Lisa. It's like a Mona Lisa.
Yeah, very Mona Lisa like. And so I'm like, all right, like, okay, cool. And I'm laughing, right? I'm laughing. And my cousin was like, he's like, man, I don't know what's wrong with these fools. I don't know what's going on. But grandma's freaking me out. Like, I'm out, bro. It's killing my buzz. I'm out. I was like, all right, cool, whatever. And I was like, oh, that was funny, Grandma. Like, thanks for getting rid of the guests, right?
Yeah.
And I'm watching TV or whatever not. And I was like, oh, my dad always has goodies in his room. So I go up to my dad's room to get some gummies or
Twinkies or whatever.
Right?
There, yeah.
And I'm going up there, and I hear the refrigerator. And I'm like, damn it. I was like, Grandma, didn't you have enough today, like scaring people? And that was it. I didn't hear it the rest of the night. Okay. But I was still scared, right?
Yeah, of course.
So whenever we're at home, whenever my dad's home, that would happen. And I would start saying, hey, Grandma, how you doing? All right? Mm-hmm. And it would stop. It would just stop. So lo and behold, my older siblings, start complaining about it. That it's more noticeable and more noticeable throughout the years. Mm-hmm. Especially when something bad is going on in the family.
Well, she's not happy.
She's not happy at them. She's not happy at what's going on. So I told him, it's like, well, ask Grandma. Just talk to her. Just tell her what's up, I could be wrong, but
it worked.
But it worked
for you,
It worked
right?
for me, yeah. So it made it acceptable, I was like, cool. But remember number 2?
Okay.
He said, she's so nice. She smiles at me.
Because he sees her.
Yeah.
He sees the spirits.
Yeah.
Like he's open.
When he was a little boy,
he was little.
Big time.
When he was little, he was so open. Like it was like scary. Like as a parent, it's like scary how open he was to seeing those things like on the other side of the veil.
Well, remember there was one time one of my brothers had a house party and we were there, and it's like this guy was there and he's just quiet, but he's freaking out, and I'm like, I've always been very blunt. And I was like, what the hell's wrong with you, man? What's wrong? You see a ghost or something? And he doesn't laugh at it, and everybody else is laughing. And his wife, it's a little girl that I saw grow up, in the family. One of my niece's ages, one of my niece's friends. And he gets close to me and he says, not to sound corny like a movie, but I do see the people. Mm-hmm. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, man, I see them. And there's a lot in this complex. And I don't like it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you right now, right there on the stairs, there's a guy standing there just looking at us. Mm-hmm. And he's pissed. And I was like,
Oh, is that going to be your grandpa?
no.
Where,
This is at my brother's house.
At which brother?
That right there, and
Oh, okay.
my second brother,
Your second brother,
the middle
yeah,
one,
yeah.
his house.
At his house?
At his house, and he's like,
They're
it's
on
right
the
there
stairs.
on the stairs. Cause see, remember, where they're kind of like duplexes, also
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
like,
yeah,
and
yeah.
there's stairs, and then it does that going up.
I've never seen their staircase.
Oh yeah, it's right there. As soon as you walk in the hallway, the living room, the kitchen's over here, the stairs is right.
Yeah. Okay.
So on the landing, he said he's there.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's a man there.
You never told me that before.
So after that, I was like, you just made the biggest mistake ever, because I'm gonna be, every time I see how you act, I'm gonna be asking you,
who's there?
Yeah.
What do you see?
You know, it's like, he's like, yeah, no, cool. And so, needless to say, he moved to the house next door later on in life, and he told me, nah, the only reason we moved in is because I didn't see nothing there. I was like, that's the rule. If it's clear, I move in.
Well, I guess that goes back to when we were house hunting.
Oh, dude, I forgot about that. It's one of my favorite stories. Man, this is gonna be a double.
Oh man, we were trying to keep it short, but we have so many stories, and then
it's number 2 again.
It's number 2 again, and we were house hunting, and because we know that he senses things, we started taking him with us, to check, if he sensed anything. And we walked into this house. There's a single level.
And it was during pandemic, right at the end of the pandemic. So they were taking turns to let people in.
Yeah, you had to wait outside for your turn to come in. And they weren't requiring masks anymore.
No.
But you couldn't be in at the same time. So this house had like the living room and then the kitchen and then like an L shape at the end that led to the bedrooms. And we're walking down the hall and we make the L shape towards the bedrooms. And our kids have disappeared because they're just walking into every room. And all we hear is, there's a dead man in this room.
No.
And then we're like, whoa. And because we know that he can see things, we were like on him so quick, like, you can't say that. You can't.
I smacked him in the head. I was like, shut up.
You can't say that, buddy. You can't say that. He's just kidding. So we're yelling out, like, he's just kidding. So sorry. It's like, buddy.
The real estate agent was in the kitchen, and she had that face like,
yeah.
And then there was somebody else
at the door.
And there was somebody coming out in the garage. So you had to kind of like do like a loop.
They had like a loop, yeah.
So it was like a gap. So they heard it, and then the person in the very back heard it. He had said that before we walked in the house. He said at the door at the door he was entering. There. He's like, Dad, I feel something in this house. Mm-hmm. Something's not right. And so when we walked in and they were doing that, he said that.
Yes.
And we're kind of like, oh. But then he did it again when we got to that back.
Yeah.
At the very back, there was like another set of rooms at the patio.
That's what I was talking about. That's when he yelled.
He said that was the wife. He said it was a lady back there.
Oh.
But in the entrance by wherever that living room area, he said was the man.
I just remember him yelling, there's a dead man in here. And I was like, no, you can't say that.
Yeah, no, he said the lady. He told me the lady died back here.
Well, and you were closer to him because I was struggling behind looking at the bathroom.
Up, bro. I was
I
was like, okay, cool, thanks. He's like, it's a nice house. It's a big house, but just know that they're here.
Yeah.
So we're like we liked it.
Yeah.
And it was a cool, quiet neighborhood, like that block.
Yeah, it was at the end of a cul-de-sac.
Yeah, it was a cool, it was like, oh, if we ever have parties, it'll be perfect for parking like those. We're going to be parking for people. Yeah. So nice flowers, and it had that
fruit
old look.
Trees and everything,
and the wood and everything in the high, the vaulted ceiling. I was like, yes. Yeah, it needs work. It needs updating. But after that, we're like, I don't care what's in it. I don't care if it's a 3-car garage. I don't care.
We're done.
Like, we're done. Like, we already went through this once, not doing it again. And I looked at the real estate agent. She was upset, and I was like, is he lying? And she's just kind of like, couldn't even look me in the eyes and say no. She just put her head down. I was like, thank you for your time.
Well, and that's the thing is like a lot of times they don't disclose this stuff because people don't want to buy houses where someone has died.
We were so happy about a house. We were all excited. Another house. We were
the
going to
one
get
in Menifee?
And then you found out that the previous owner had just died on it.
Yes. And that's why it was so cheap.
Yeah. And we're like, nope.
And when we saw this house, we saw it by ourselves the first time, but we brought the kids the second time to see this house.
Mm-hmm.
And we asked him,
right,
do you feel anything? Nope, Mom, I don't feel a thing. He was running around, rolling on carpets, jumping with his sisters.
Yeah, they liked it.
They liked it. Like right off the bat, he was just like, nope, I'm good. Until like months passed or weeks passed or something like that. And then he started sensing something, but nothing bad. Like he's like, there is something, Mom, but I don't know.
There's moments, but it seems fine.
Yeah, nothing like we've ever experienced in any other house in the last several years.
Right.
So I was gonna close with I think earlier I was trying to say my brother, he's the one, he kept the house, that 2-story house, and he kept that 2-story house. And I remember one time before we moved out, he tells me that he had an experience in that house, and it was the master bedroom. And he said that we were gone, but he didn't realize we were gone because he heard someone running back and forth in the master bedroom, because the master bedroom went over the whole living room and kitchen. Like the living room and kitchen were like right next to each other, and the master bedroom ran across the top of both those sections. And he said he could hear in the kitchen someone, like he said it sounded like kids playing, running back and forth on the second floor from the closet into the bedroom. And he thought we were home. So he's like, hey guys, are you guys here? And then no one answered, so he just figured, oh, whatever. And then we walk in the door like minutes later, and he's like, whoa, I totally thought you guys were home. And then he told me, like, oh, I just heard people running upstairs. So again, this is that 2-story house. But he told me that it's been years. Like he doesn't hear anything anymore.
No, well, with all the remodeling that he's done, whatever was in there,
he's done extensive remodeling.
It's not the house that whatever spirits were there. It's not the house that they probably remember.
Yeah. Well, I remember we painted the boys' room at some point, and when we painted their room, the energy changed completely in that bedroom. Like when we finally went and painted I think we painted blue. It was like a light blue.
Yeah.
And we painted the closet also because the kids were afraid of the closet. So we painted the closet, and we painted 1 or 2 walls in their room blue. And after that, the energy was completely different in that room. So just making slight changes was a big deal to whatever negative energy was in that bedroom. So, but yeah, my brother's done so much remodeling to that place.
I mean, we took it on a damn toy and we got rid of it eventually.
Maybe it was the toy. Anybody else out there have ghost stories, like haunted toys? God, those are the worst.
Yeah, no, that was freaking. And I remember I used to dismiss it for the longest time because I used to be like, "Oh, the batteries are gonna die." Toys usually go off like that when the batteries.
I agree. Dying. I used to think the same thing, but the fact that it called me that word.
Yeah, once you said that,
I was like, no. We've had this toy for years, and there's no way it should have ever. And it's a kid's toy. There's no way it should have said that unless it was programmed to say that at some point. I mean, like Chucky, but. But, that's horrible. It was bad. Anyways, those are our ghost stories. We'd love to hear your ghost stories if you have any.
Yeah.
Or if you want to hear more, we're happy to share. I mean, 'tis the season to be sharing ghost
awesome.
stories.
Enjoy it because, once November comes around, we're going to be talking about turkeys.
Well, no, I'm just saying like winter time is the time people tell scary stories because it's the time when everybody dies is in the winter. So we have some more stories.
No, next year.
Next year? No, we'll see. All right.
You
Well,
can tell my wife really enjoys talking about
I love
scary
talking
stuff.
about my stories. I do. I like. There's a podcast that I listen to that does scary stories, and they actually say like you can write into them and they'll read your stories on their podcast.
Yeah.
And I've contemplated. I literally started a whole email, about some of my stories, and then I was like, you know what? I can just tell them myself.
Yeah. We need episodes. Yeah.
So I can just tell my own scary stories. So, anyways.
Oh, well, I know we kind of gone over this. I guess we'll do this kind of like the Halloween special episode since we missed a few weeks. So, I wanted to talk about something, but I guess we'll say that for the next episode.
Okay. We can talk about how it went.
Yeah, we can talk about how it went.
If
we can build up to it.
If it even happens.
Yeah.
Just know something's supposed to happen on Halloween Day with our eldest going out with some people. And
Mama Bird is not having it.
I'm not.
That's
it's not
a
that
baby.
I'm not having it. I just don't know these people. I just want to know who they are. And someone thinks I'm overreacting by wanting to know who they are. Which I don't agree because, like, in the world we live in, we should definitely be checking out. Who
You're already going into the episode.
Okay, anyways. All right, we'll get back to you with that information later.
All right, everybody.
All right.
I hear noises in the background, and it's way past everybody's bedtime. So maybe, see, there it is. Oh, snap.
We
gotta go check
attention.
It. Yeah.
All right. Well, you have a good night.
Enjoy
We're
your
gonna
Halloween.
scare ourselves here.
Happy Halloween, everyone.
Happy
Hope
Halloween.
you had a good one.
Blessed Samhain.
Peace.